Discover the incredible gift Ginger revealed. A heartwarming surprise transforming his best friend's life. Ginger stood in the shadow of the old oak tree, sweat glistening on his brow from another grueling shift at the auto shop. The scent of motor oil lingered on his hands, but today it wasn't the grind that weighed on him. It was the community fair approaching just days away. Memories of laughter and vibrant colors flooded back moments he cherished during his childhood in this small Midwestern town. But returning home from deployment, he felt more like a ghost than the man he used to be. The struggle to fit in, to reconnect, gnawed at him like a hungry wolf. This time though, Ginger had something special in mind. With a heart full of hope, he'd taken up woodworking, ignited by memories of his grandfather crafting toys. He envisioned a whimsical wooden playset for Mark's kids, a magical sanctuary for their laughter amidst the shadows of their realities. Life had been heavy for Mark, his best friend, a devoted teacher who put his family first, often at the cost of his own dreams. That playset represented not just a gift but a beacon of joy. It was a way to tell Mark that better days lay ahead. But there Ginger stood, heart racing, unsure of how to bring the vision to life. Suddenly, he heard Mark's comforting voice pull him from his thoughts. "Ginger? You all right?" Mark's brow furrowed with concern, a look all too familiar. Yet Ginger brushed it off with a smile. "Yeah, just thinking about that fair." As day turned into night, Ginger began carving. With every cut and stroke, his heart swelled and visions danced before him. But tragedy struck. A slip tool, a sharp pain shooting through his leg. Ginger collapsed, the world around him spinning as he realized he'd injured himself badly. The impending deadline for the fair loomed like a dark cloud overhead, and fear crawled into his chest. He couldn't finish the playset. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the following days, whispers of Ginger's accident buzzed through town. The community that once seemed distant rallied together, providing meals and assisting at the shop where Ginger worked long hours to make ends meet. Observers marveled at the generosity displayed. Even neighbors who rarely spoke gathered, demonstrating the haunting beauty of humanity's resilience. Back at home, Mark felt darkness creeping in. Unable to bury the burden of his own discontent, he sank under the weight of responsibility. Why hadn't he noticed Ginger's struggles? Why hadn't he been there in a moment of need? As he considered the unfinished playset in Ginger's workshop, it dawned on him the sacrifices made in silence often scream the loudest. Just days before the fair, with Ginger desperate to prove his worth and Mark bearing the guilt of neglect, tensions flared between them. Words left unsaid hung heavy in the air. And as the fair approached, Mark knew he had to confront his feelings both for his friend and himself. The question echoed in his mind. Could he find forgiveness not only for Ginger but for the man he had become? The fair lights twinkled in the distance, but their warmth felt far beyond reach. Mark stood in his kitchen, the soft hum of the fridge cutting through the heavy silence. He stared at the half-finished lesson plan spread across the table, feeling the weight of expectations. His phone buzzed, breaking his trance. It was a text from Ginger. "Hey bud, do you need anything? I'm at the shop." The juxtaposition of those simple words struck Mark like a wave, crashing over him with both warmth and guilt. His reflection in the window revealed a wearied man far removed from the bright-eyed teacher he once was. What would he say to Ginger? Would he even know how to reach out? He grabbed his keys, heart racing as he headed out the door. The drive felt longer than usual, each stoplight like a reminder of the barriers he'd put up, walls fortified by pride and fear. When he arrived at the shop, the hum of machinery mingled with the scent of sawdust filled the air. He found Ginger seated on a stool, wincing as he attempted to work through the pain. The sight gripped Mark's heart. There was his friend still pushing forward despite everything, while Mark had been stuck in his own turmoil. "Hey," he said, forcing a smile. "You could use a hand, right?" Ginger looked up, his face lighting up for just a second before the pain crept back into his eyes. "Yeah, I could use a lot of things." He chuckled lightly but then fell silent, the air thick between them. Mark swallowed hard. I should have checked in. I thought you were handling everything fine. It took me too long to realize the truth. Ginger's gaze drifted to the unfinished playset, and his eyes flickered with something deep. Was it hope? Or was it dread at what lay ahead? It's tough, man. I wanted to make something special, something that could remind us of better days. His voice cracked slightly, raw emotion spilling forth. You still can. We can finish it together, Mark blurted, the words tumbling out before he could think them through. But I can't move like I used to, Ginger admitted, shame lacing his tone. Maybe this is our moment just to be real. Let us not pretend anymore, Mark said, echoing the very words that had burrowed deep in his mind. I need you to know that I'm here too, struggling to figure it all out. Surprise flickered in Ginger's eyes, quickly replaced by understanding. Then let us not waste this chance. Help me finish this playset before the fair. We'll show those kids what joy looks like. With that, Mark felt something shift inside him, a faint flicker of hope pushing through the clouds of uncertainty. Side by side they dug into their work, each hammer strike resonating with a promise of healing, a path toward rekindling their friendship. As the evening sun poured in through the workshop windows, illuminating the wood shavings swirling around them, Mark paused, realization dawning on him. This isn't just about the playset, is it? Ginger shook his head, a smile breaking through the tension, revealing glimpses of the man he once was. No, it's about reclaiming the laughter we thought was lost. Yet as they worked, shadows loomed, Mark's mind heavy with unspoken words about his own dreams. The fair loomed closer, and as much as they pushed to finish the playset, it became clear. The truth was still waiting to be spoken, and time was running out. Mark, Ginger began, looking serious. There's something I need to tell you but before he could finish, a loud crash erupted from the direction of the tool shed. The interruption sent a chill down their spines. What if that sound meant more trouble? Curiosity burned within Mark, but he hesitated with a sliver of dread. What could it be? Let us check it out, Ginger whispered, their moment of hope hanging in the balance, ready to tip once again into uncertainty. Mark's heart pounded as they approached the tool shed, the air thick with tension. Each step felt like it carried the weight of a dozen unsaid words. He shared a glance with Ginger, and he could see the same mix of fear and determination reflected in his friend's eyes. With a hesitant push, Mark swung the door open, creaking it like a horror movie scene. Immediately, the chaos inside greeted them. Tools were scattered across the floor, and a stack of wooden planks had toppled over. But amidst the disarray, something else caught Mark's attention. In the corner of the shed, covered in dust, was an old wooden chest. Somehow, it managed to remain unharmed by the disarray around it. A wave of nostalgia washed over him. He remembered his childhood, playing pirates with Ginger, pretending to sail across imaginary seas. Was this chest one of the treasures they had made back then? What the heck is that? Ginger's voice broke through his reverie, a hint of wonder replacing the earlier tension. I think it might be an old memory of ours. Let us see, Mark replied, stepping closer. He felt a rush of adrenaline as he knelt beside the chest, gingerly brushing off the dust. The wood was worn, but the craftsmanship still showed the love that went into building it. They both pulled at the lid and it creaked open, revealing a collection of items from happier times. Old photographs, little trinkets, even a tattered baseball cap. Mark's heart swelled with warmth as they began sorting through the memories. Wow, look at this, Ginger exclaimed, holding up a snapshot of their younger selves, grinning ear to ear as they stood on a makeshift pirate ship in their neighborhood backyard. We were so carefree back then. Mark laughed, a genuine sound that felt foreign but refreshing on his lips. Yeah, look how much hair we had. As the laughter bubbled between them, it felt like a moment of healing, unearthing joy that had been buried beneath layers of life's burdens. Yet, as they dug deeper, they uncovered something more: crumpled papers, faded notes they had written during their pirate days. Ginger unfolded one, reading out loud, "To be brave is to be free." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meanings. Mark's smile faltered for a moment as he realized how much they all reverberated in his current life. "We lost sight of that," he murmured. "No, we just forgot where to look." Ginger's voice was softer now, filled with a mixture of regret and hope. "Maybe this place at this isn't just a project. It's a chance to let our dreams sail again." Suddenly, Mark felt a sense of urgency rise within him. The fair was on the horizon. But so was something larger, a chance to confront their shared past and redefine their futures. They had moments left to seize, to really talk about everything waiting to be confessed. Right, Mark agreed, determination igniting in his chest. Let us get back to work. Before the fair, but let us not just finish the playset. Let us make it something that tells our story. And let us share some of these memories too. Ginger nodded, the tension lifting from his shoulders. They packed away the treasures, a shared understanding blossoming in the air. They had a mission now, one fueled by more than just wood and nails. But as they turned to leave the shed, a sudden thought struck Mark. Ginger, what were you going to tell me? Before the words caught in his throat. What if it was something that could change everything? What if it was too late? The workshop seemed to hold its breath, the sun hanging heavy as they stood on the precipice of more than just repairs. They were about to uncover truths that could reshape their friendship forever. Mark. Ginger paused, a look of worry shadowing his face. It can wait. But there's something huge coming up that I think will change everything. Mark could feel a shiver of anxiety wash over him. What did Ginger mean? What was he hiding? With the fair approaching fast, time was slipping through their fingers, and with it the chance to mend more than just crafted wood. Yeah, let us get to it, Mark replied, the unease settling in the back of his mind. There was both excitement and dread pressing down on him. What awaited them in the moments ahead? Would they muster the courage to face what had been left unsaid? Mark wiped his hands on his jeans as the two of them stepped out of the shed, the warmth of the sun wrapping around them like a comforting blanket. The air smelled of fresh-cut grass, the familiar scent nudging at memories of carefree days spent in the yard. He could feel the weight of unspoken words between him and Ginger. But there was something brewing beneath the surface, a mix of anticipation and apprehension that hummed in their connection. Let us start on the playset, Mark said, trying to mask the tension with determination. We've got a lot of work to do if we want to get it ready before the fair. Ginger nodded, though he could see hesitation in his friend's eyes. The urgency they had felt in the shed lingered. Still, he pushed it aside, focusing on the timber and tools laid out before them. They had a mission now, a chance to turn something broken into something beautiful. As they began to hammer and saw, the rhythmic sounds of clanging and sawing filled the air. Each strike seemed to steady the turbulence between them. Mark took a big breath, feeling the pressure build in his chest. He needed to know what was on Ginger's mind. Hey, about what you were going to say earlier, he started, his voice hesitant, breaking the buzz of activity. Ginger met his gaze, caught. He paused, a flicker of inner conflict crossing his features. It's a lot to say, he finally responded, surprising Mark. He had expected Ginger to brush it off. Instead, it felt like peeling back a layer of the truth. Let us take a break, Mark suggested, putting down his hammer. The two of them settled on the grass, the world blurring around them as they found a moment of quiet. Mark studied his friend, waiting for him to find the courage to speak. I've been thinking about our childhood a lot. Ginger broke the silence, glancing at the makeshift pirate ship they had once imagined ruling the seas. You know how we always dreamed big? What if we could do that again? Mark felt a flicker of hope ignite. You mean with the playset? We can make it amazing, something that means something. Not just that. Ginger hesitated, searching for the words. I've been looking at things differently lately. I've been working on something, a project of my own. A way to bring that childhood dream back to life, but on a bigger scale. Something for the community to enjoy. Mark's heart raced at the possibilities. What do you mean? I want to create a real playground. You know, not just for kids but a place for everyone to gather. It's something I care about a lot, but I need help. I want you to help me. Ginger's voice trembled slightly, revealing vulnerability as he poured out his heart. Mark felt a surge of emotion. Ginger, that's incredible. But is that really what you wanted to tell me before? Ginger nodded. Yeah, and it scares me. I thought about how we could both work on it together. It's a bit overwhelming. What if it doesn't work? The air was charged with uncertainty. What if we fail? Mark whispered, remembering their childhood fears. But then he thought of all their dreams, how they could build something meaningful side by side again. He felt a swell of determination. Then we try again. Together. Mark replied with conviction. As they sat in the sun, that moment felt pivotal, a door swinging open, beckoning them towards dreams unchained from the weight of hesitation. It wasn't just about a playset anymore. It was a path toward rediscovering the bond that had almost lost its way. Okay, Ginger smiled, relief washing over his features. Let us take this leap. Before they could get up, a low rumble of thunder rolled through the sky. It caught them off guard, a reminder of nature's unpredictability. Instinctively, they both looked up. The storm clouds gathered ominously, but Mark felt the warmth of excitement inside. Let us get started right now, Ginger suggested, grabbing the tools again, fueled by a newfound energy. But in the back of Mark's mind, a question lingered, nagging at him. What other surprises was Ginger holding back? And as the first drops of rain began to fall, would they be able to overcome whatever challenges lay ahead in this storm, both with the weather and their own hearts? The rain began as a drizzle, quickening into a relentless shower that pelleted the playset with tiny beads of water. Undeterred, Mark and Ginger powered through, their laughter mingling with the sound of raindrops hitting the ground. Every swing of the hammer felt like an act of rebellion against the storm, against their doubts. Just a little water, Ginger shouted over the noise, determination lighting up his face. Mark admired that fire. It reminded him of the boy who dared to dream big, the one who wanted to be a pirate, an astronaut, and everything in between. The storm swelled, forcing them to pause briefly. They huddled under the shelter of the shed, water dripping off the roof in rhythmic patterns. Mark glanced sideways at Ginger, who was seemingly lost in thought once more. The cloud cover dimmed the light around them, but Mark felt a flicker of something bright, something that hinted at Ginger's idea being more than just a dream. What if, Mark ventured hesitantly, what if we make this playground really special? We could design it around things we loved as kids. The pirate ship, the adventure theme. His voice trailed off, uncertainty creeping in again. Ginger perked up. Like a treasure hunt. And there could be different zones based on our favorite games. We can invite others to share their ideas too. Yes, it would be inclusive, something the whole community could rally around. Mark's excitement spurred him on, but there remained that flicker of fear. Ginger picked up on it immediately. Mark, you're not worried about failure, are you? He asked, eyes narrowing as he focused on his friend. Mark shifted uncomfortably. It's just I want this to work for you. For us. A stillness fell between them, enough for Mark to hear the rain more clearly, each drop a reminder of the unpredictability of life. Ginger's gaze was unwavering, and in that moment, Mark felt a swell of courage that had been buried under years of doubt. Remember the time we found that old tree house? Ginger asked, a nostalgic smile spreading across his face. It was falling apart, but we fixed it up, made it our fortress. A smile danced on Mark's lips. Yeah, we thought we could take on the world from there. Exactly. We didn't care about the risks, just the adventure, Ginger urged, the passion in his voice rising. If we could do that back then, why can't we tackle something bigger now? Mark nodded slowly, feeling the weight of Ginger's words sink in. This wasn't just about building a playground. It was about reclaiming that adventurous spirit. They could make something beautiful together. Let us do it then, Mark said firmly. Let us channel that kid energy. Let us make this playground happen. Thunder rumbled again, but Mark barely noticed. The storm felt less threatening now, more like a backdrop to their rising ambitions. They dashed back into the rain, laughter spilling out again as they resumed their work. Each swing of the hammer reverberated with hope, a step closer to transforming not only their dreams but their lives. As the rain lightened, a glimmer of sunlight broke through the clouds, painting the scene in golden hues. Mark paused, soaking in the moment, the promise of what was to come. The friendship rekindled in shared dreams. But just as the sun peeked through, Ginger's expression shifted. He hesitated, his brow furrowing. There's something else, something important I haven't told you yet. Mark's heart raced, curiosity igniting once again. What else was Ginger holding back? And how would this secret change everything they had just begun to build together? Mark's heartbeat quickened, the sound of raindrops fading into the background as he focused intently on Ginger. What could possibly be so significant that Ginger felt the need to hold it back until now? Ginger, what is it? Mark urged, his voice barely above a whisper. Ginger took a deep breath, his eyes searching the darkened sky as if seeking clarity. I've been thinking about this for a while, and I didn't want to get your hopes up until I was sure. He paused, uncertainty flickering across his face. I've got some money saved up. Mark blinked, hardly able to comprehend what he was hearing. Money saved up? For what? For our playground project, Ginger said, his voice gaining confidence. I didn't want to mention it until I fully believed we could actually pull it off. But now, seeing us get this far, I think we can go even bigger. The realization hit Mark like a jolt of electricity. When Ginger said he had savings, he wasn't just talking about pocket change, he was talking about a genuine investment in their dream. The thought filled Mark with both excitement and a surge of responsibility. Are you serious? Mark's eyes widened. You really want to invest in this? We could actually make it a reality. Yeah. I know it sounds crazy, Ginger rushed to explain, but think about it. We could hire a contractor, get the right materials. We could create something amazing, something that will stick around for generations. The storm clouds seemed to part as Mark processed this new revelation. This wasn't just a fun little project anymore. It was an opportunity to create a legacy. But then something else crept into his thoughts. What if they failed? What if they poured everything into this and it didn't work out? Ginger, what if it doesn't go as planned? Mark's voice choked slightly, his enthusiasm wavering. The risks felt suddenly heavier than ever. Hey, Ginger stepped closer, the raindrops shimmering in the newfound sunlight. We can't live our lives worrying about what might happen. Remember the tree house? We jumped in headfirst back then and look how it turned out. Mark searched Ginger's gaze, feeling the warmth of his friend's optimism. There was a fire there. A deep-rooted belief that life was about taking chances. Ginger reached out, putting a reassuring hand on Mark's shoulder. Together we can handle whatever comes our way, Ginger insisted. We've got each other's backs and that's what matters. A grin spread across Mark's face, one fueled by the stirring sense of adventure that had initially sparked their journey. What could be more fulfilling than channeling their inner children? All right, Mark shouted, raising his arms in triumph. Let us do it. If we fail together, but I'd rather try with you than give up before we even start. As they stood together under the shed, laughter echoed once again, merging beautifully with the sounds of the gentle rain. But just as Mark felt fully fired up by their conversation, he noticed the flicker of concern return to Ginger's eyes. Wait, Ginger, is there something more? Mark asked, confusion knitting his brow. Ginger hesitated again, glancing over his shoulder as if contemplating whether to reveal it. It's just, I've been talking to some folks about how they want to help. But their help comes with strings attached. What do you mean? Mark frowned, his heart sinking slightly. I think some people see this as a business opportunity, a way to profit off our idea. Ginger's voice trailed off, leaving an unsettling silence between them. Mark felt a chill run down his spine. What had begun as a heartfelt dream was now tangled in complications. What strings would connect them to others? And at what cost would their playground come into existence? As the sunlight broke through once more, filling the shed with warmth, Mark realized they stood on the precipice of something far greater than a mere playground. Would they still be able to chase their dreams amid the weight of expectations? What do we do now? Mark asked, anxious yet hopeful. I guess we take it one step at a time, Ginger said, quietly, determination re-emerging in his tone. But we need to be careful. This could change everything. Mark nodded, feeling the gravity of their situation. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. Everything was about to unfold. But would their dream survive the storm of complications that awaited? Mark stood in the shadow of the shed, feeling a mix of excitement and weight pressing on his chest. Ginger's words echoed in his mind, the thrill of the playground project tinged with uncertainty. They had jumped into the treehouse endeavor with blind passion. But now this felt different. This was business, a tangled web woven with expectations and realities. What strings attached? Mark asked, trying to grasp the breadth of the situation before them. He noticed Ginger's hesitance. You can't just drop a bomb like that and expect me to let it go. Ginger looked away, his brow furrowing as if sorting through 1,000 thoughts. I talked to Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Reed from the community board. They all think it's a great idea. But they want a say in how things are run. They want to ensure their money bounces back with some kind of profit. Mark's heart sank. He felt the fire of excitement dimmed by doubts. So they see it as a chance to make money, not just a gift to the community? Exactly, Ginger said, his voice low. They're interested for their own reasons. What started as our dream suddenly has a lot of eyes on it. An uncomfortable silence hung between them. Mark glanced out at the rain-washed street. Children played in the puddles, shrieks of laughter piercing the air, blissfully unaware of the tangled discussions that had taken root in their minds. Mark wished the same carefree spirit applied to them. What if we just turned them down? Mark suggested, desperation creeping into his voice. We can't. We need their help, Ginger responded fiercely. We can build this playground, but we can't do it alone. Mark felt frustration bubble up. But does that mean we lose control over our dream? What's the point of building it at all if it's not ours? Ginger sighed, shoulders sagging under the weight of the conversation. I don't know, man. I just thought maybe this could be bigger than us. Maybe this is our chance to create something that lasts. Mark crossed his arms, feeling torn. But at what cost? Look, Ginger said, his expression serious. What if we steer them? What if we take their money but keep the heart of the project? We can control what matters, we can make it community-focused. Maybe they'll respect our vision. Mark looked into Ginger's eyes. There was a fire there, a spark that made him want to believe. But doubt lingered stubbornly in the corners of his mind. What if they fell victim to greed? What if the playground turned into a soulless moneymaker instead of a haven for kids? I want to trust you, Ginger. But Mark shook his head, feeling conflicted. Let us just meet with them, Ginger urged. Let us hear their offer. We can always say no, but we should at least explore this. Who knows? They might even surprise us. The weight of possibility settled over Mark like the summer mist. He glanced at the children splashing in the puddles, their laughter ringing like a call to arms. They deserved something amazing. Okay, Mark finally agreed, biting his lip in hesitation. Let us hear them out. As they walked out from under the shed into the sunlight, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning, a strange and twisting road ahead. Would they remain true to their vision, or would ambitions taint their dream? With each step, he felt an uneasy mix of hope and trepidation. Ginger, do you really think we can balance it all? We have to try, Ginger answered firmly. But remember, we're in this together. Whatever we build, it should reflect us, our ideals, our dreams. No one can take that away from us if we fight for it. Mark nodded, pausing on the threshold of their new journey. The playground, their playground, was within reach. But shadows loomed on the horizon, the kind that could shift the heart of their dream. What awaited them in that first meeting? And would they be able to keep their vision intact amid the stirring chaos? Mark and Ginger made their way to the community center, the heavy atmosphere weighing down on them like a damp blanket. The air was thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth and promise. As they approached the entrance, a part of Mark was itching to turn back, to retreat to the safety of their earlier excitement. But the other part, a louder part, recognized that this was a leap they had to take. Inside, the usual clamor of the community center was barely a whisper. The faint rustle of paper and the staccato tapping of shoes echoed through the hall. They found themselves in a small windowless room, where Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Reed sat at a long table, smiles plastered on their faces, but Mark didn't miss the calculating glances exchanged between them. It felt like standing in front of a panel of judges. Welcome, welcome, Mr. Thompson said, his voice warm but lacking sincerity. We're excited to talk about your vision. Mark exchanged a glance with Ginger. They both nodded, but both could feel the tension in the air. Mark could see that Ginger was ready to fight for their dream. It was a fire that he admired. Still, uncertainty knotted in Mark's stomach. Why don't you start by telling us what you have in mind? Mrs. Reed prompted, leaning forward, her fingers steepled together. Ginger cleared his throat. We want to create a playground that brings kids and families together. A place where they can let their imaginations run wild. Mark spoke next, feeling his heart race. We want it to reflect the community as values joy, creativity, and togetherness. As they spoke, though, something shifted in the atmosphere. Mr. Thompson's smile faded slightly as he leaned back in his chair. That's all well and good, boys. But let us be honest. We're here because we want returns on our investments. The words hung thick and heavy. Mark felt every hope they had crumbled into dust. Returns? Ginger asked incredulously. You mean financially? Of course, Mr. Thompson replied, his tone rehearsed. This isn't just a charity, boys. This playground needs to draw people and generate foot traffic, events, even revenue. Mark's heart raced. What's the point if it's just a money-making scheme? We want to build a community space, not a cash machine. Understandable, Mrs. Reed interjected, her voice a glassy veneer over their hard stance. But we believe there's a way to do both. You can still maintain your vision while ensuring we all benefit. Benefit? Ginger shot back. At what cost? We're talking about kids here. We want them to play, not learn about profit margins. The room fell silent, tension sparking between them like live wires. Mark could feel hope draining away, uncertainty filling the void. He thought of the children laughing outside, those carefree moments he cherished. He couldn't bear the thought of that innocence being tarnished. Ginger broke the silence, his determination aflame. Let us outline our terms together. We can't change the essence of what we're building for the sake of profit. Mark wanted to support his friend, but his doubts fed anxiety. But what if they don't play fair? What if then we walk away? Ginger said, unyielding. But we owe it to ourselves to explore this first. As they laid out their terms, the conversation edged into a complex dance of negotiation, hopes clashing with expectations. Mark could feel the ground shifting beneath them. This wasn't merely a meeting. It felt like the first ripple in a much larger storm. And remember, Ginger said, finally breaking away from the business haze, this playground is for the kids. It must feel like hope, not a business venture. Mark thought about how far they had come. They weren't just two friends anymore. They were champions for a community dreaming of something better. But would that vision survive the grueling test ahead? As they wrapped up the meeting, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that both their hopes and fears hovered in the air like distant thunder. What if they were on the edge of something monumental or a massive failure? Stepping out into the bright sunlight, Mark felt the warmth, juxtaposed with the chill that had settled deep in his bones. Ginger turned to him, eyes ablaze with passion. We can do this. We just have to stay true to our purpose. Mark wanted to believe him, but uncertainty gnawed at his resolve. The playground was just a splash away. But was it now tainted by strings and shadows? What if their dream changed forever in pursuit of that dream? A specter of doubt loomed large in the back of Mark's mind, ready to leap forward. Would their bond withstand the trials ahead? What was left to lose? Mark sat on the worn bench outside the community center, the sun casting long shadows and illuminating the swirling worries in his mind. Ginger paced in front of him, his eyes alive with determination and purpose, and Mark couldn't help but admire his friend's relentless spirit. Yet anxiety brewed like a storm inside him. What's the next step? Ginger asked, breaking into Mark's thoughts. Mark shrugged, shifting uncomfortably. We've got to make those changes to our proposal. But I can't shake this feeling that they'll twist everything we want. Don't think like that, Ginger replied, his voice strong. We fight for our dream. We'll find a way. His confidence was electric, sparking something in Mark he desperately wanted to cling to. But doubt seeped in. What if they lost everything in the process? What if their vision got buried under corporate greed? The playground was supposed to be a joyful escape, not another battleground. You said they could help us, maybe even make things happen faster, Mark said, his voice faltering. But I'm not sure they care about our vision. Then it's our job to make them care. Ginger shot back, the fire in his eyes unwavering. We need them to see that this is more than a project. We're building something special for our kids. Something that lasts. Mark knew Ginger was right. He had seen that glimmer of hope in the faces of kids playing in the park. It was the laughter, the joy, the simple magic of being a child. But would that be enough to fight against the hardened hearts of Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Reed? I can't help but think about what we might lose. Our vision. Our friendship, Mark admitted, vulnerability creeping into his tone. Ginger paused, crossing his arms. Our friendship is what got us here in the first place. Besides, we've faced challenges before. Remember those times we played at the old park, dreaming big? Adversity makes us stronger. That memory ignited a spark. The way they had laughed, shared dreams, the way it felt so effortless. To them, that was more than just play. It was a foundation they had built as friends. Okay, Mark said, a newfound resolve washing over him. Let us take a step back. Gather our ideas and present them in a way they can't ignore. The glint in Ginger's eyes grew brighter. Yes, we'll create a proposal that dances, that sings, that has heart. They can't resist that. The idea of crafting something vibrant filled Mark's heart with warmth. If they presented their playground as a picture of community love, who could say no? Together they sketched out ideas: slides shaped like dragons, swings that resembled birds, picnic spots nestled among trees, and a mural telling the story of their town. As they listed their plans, laughter bubbled between them. The tension from the earlier meeting began to ease, replaced by excitement. Ginger's enthusiasm was contagious, wrapping around Mark like a comforting blanket, reassuring him that they were in this together. "Let us meet again after school tomorrow. We can refine our pitch," Ginger suggested. "Deal." Mark smiled, feeling lighter. But as they walked away from the community center, an unfamiliar sound broke through the joy, an angry voice resonating behind them. Mr. Thompson was on his phone, his voice slicing through the afternoon calm. "If they think we're going to invest in just another nonprofit picnic, they've got another thing coming." A chill swept through Mark. Had they truly underestimated the stakes? Was this fight more formidable than they had anticipated? "What do you think he means?" Mark asked, glancing nervously at Ginger. "I don't know, but we have to be ready for anything," Ginger said, determination shading his voice. As the sun dipped low, casting a golden hue over the horizon, Mark couldn't shake the reality of what lay ahead. Doubts loomed once more, but one thing was clear: they had to keep pushing forward. No matter the odds, they would navigate this storm together. Then, as they neared home, a sudden video notification pinged on Ginger's phone. He grabbed it with urgency, eyes widening like saucers as he stared at the screen. "Mark, you've got to see this." What had Ginger discovered now? What new challenge or surprise was waiting just around the corner? Mark leaned closer, excitement mixed with anxiety as Ginger held the phone up. The video was from a local news segment discussing recent developments in community projects. It featured Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Reed, promoting their vision for a new entertainment hub, a venture that promised profit while turning the community's focus away from the heart of what made it truly special. "Look at this," Ginger exclaimed, the urgency in his voice wrapping around Mark like a tight hug. "Are they talking about the playground?" Mark's heart raced. "What did they say?" Ginger's eyes narrowed as he scrutinized the screen. "They're positioning it as a business investment. They're not just interested in helping us. They want to turn this into their money machine instead of a safe space for families." Mark felt a sinking sensation in his stomach. "So they're going to take our dream and mold it into something that pushes what we want aside?" "Exactly. We need to act fast," Ginger said, determination igniting in his eyes. "This isn't just about our plans anymore. They're already planning to undermine our vision. We have to put our proposal together, and we need to do it now." "Right," Mark agreed, the adrenaline coursing through him like wildfire. "Let's South meet at my place tonight. We can draft everything without distractions." The two friends launched into action. They scattered papers across Mark's kitchen table, grabbing markers and post-it notes and brainstorming ideas, everything they wanted the playground to represent. The rain that had threatened earlier was now long gone, leaving behind a clear sky that seemed to breathe life into their newfound purpose. Each idea they wrote down came with memories, the sense of adventure they had once felt, the laughter they now envisioned filling this play area. The slides envisioned soaring like dragons, the swings inviting kids to experience the thrill of flight, and the mural pulsating with colors that told their shared story, the essence of who they were as friends and community members. "Remember when we imagined our treehouse would be the center of our universe?" Mark said, writing furiously. "That's what this playground should be for everyone else." Ginger nodded, tapping the table excitedly. "This playground should be a sanctuary, a place for dreams. We can use the energy from this meeting and turn it into something beautiful. Let us show them what we believe in." Hours slipped by as they delved deep into the heart of their dreams, finally binding them to paper. When they stepped back to review their presentation, it was breathtaking. They hadn't just created a proposal. They had crafted a love letter to childhood, to friendship, and to their community. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, Mark felt a surge of clarity. We need to remind them that kids don't play for profit. They play to express themselves, to coexist, to feel belonging in a space that's theirs. "Yes," Ginger beamed, gripping Mark's shoulder. "And if they don't get that, we'll show them it's not just about money. We'll bring the community along with us. We'll have parents, teachers and kids come forward to share their stories about the importance of having a safe space to connect. They see how tied we are to this dream. Energized by their resolve, they agreed to schedule a presentation with Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Reed for the following week. Ginger's eyes sparkled incredulously, as if the weight of the entire community rested on their shoulders. We're doing this together, for everyone who believes in a brighter future. When the day finally arrived, Mark's heart pounded in his chest as they entered the community center once more. They were met with the same cold, calculated smiles from Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Reed. But this time, something inside him ignited. Ginger presented first, his passion rippling through the room as he spoke about dreams and hopes, inevitably reaching the untouched heart of why they started this project. Mark then stepped forward, his voice steady as he framed their elaborate design. Every word ignited memories of laughter, sunshine, innocence, and connection, those pure moments that made their childhoods truly magical. As they concluded their presentation, Mark felt an unexpected shift in the atmosphere. For the first time, Mr. Thompson and Mrs. Reed appeared less self-assured, their expressions growing contemplative. "Thank you for your passionate proposal," Mr. Thompson finally said, the tone far softer than before. "There's merit in what you presented. We'll review it more closely and we'll need to discuss funding options." Mark and Ginger exchanged hopeful glances. They had brought their vision to life, standing together as champions of their community. The buzz lingered long after they left the center, and back at Ginger's workshop they celebrated. "We did it." Mark laughed, infused with pure joy. "We took our vision and made it something they couldn't ignore." Ginger grinned widely, relief washing over him. "Yes, we fought for our dream, and that's what matters." Days turned into weeks, and as that sun-drenched playground began to take form, buildings started moving swiftly, supported by their steadfast connection to the community. The laughter of children echoed through the air, intertwining with hope and friendship. Mark stood beside Ginger, watching the vision they created come to life, each swing and slide a tribute to those who had believed in their effort. He felt an awed delight, the thrill of overcoming trials, the reminder of laughter from their childhood, and the strength of friendship ignited. Suddenly, Ginger turned to him with an even bigger smile. I think we've not only built a playground, we've rebuilt our dreams together. That's something nobody can take from us." Mark nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. "Absolutely. We've transformed not just this community but ourselves. Here's to more laughter, adventure, and many dreams yet to be made." As they embraced, they both knew this was only the beginning. Their friendship, fueled by hope and understanding, had the power to reinvent their world. And as they watched children gleefully race across their playground, Mark realized he had found where he truly belonged. In this moment, amidst laughter and love, everything had come full circle. This was the incredible gift Ginger had revealed, the heartwarming surprise that transformed not only Mark's life, but the life of their entire community. Now remember, if you enjoyed this incredible journey, subscribe immediately to the channel so you never miss out on exclusive stories like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below to share your feelings about this beautiful transformation. And for the love of connection, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this story. Don't wait not even one more second. Join the community of true fans who understand the importance of supporting our journey together.